Hi, I'm Maysha with As Long as You're Breathing. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how we are all vulnerable. We're all vulnerable. And the way we handle that vulnerability is counterintuitive. Many of us think that by going within, we are maximizing our control over our vulnerability. We think that I'm strong, I'm whole, and I'm complete, and I can be resilient, and I've got control over everything, and I've got my boundaries up. I've maximized my control over everything and minimized my vulnerability. When in fact, you haven't. By doing that, you have minimized your sphere of influence in your own life. You see, you are never mutually exclusive. So you not communicating or participating in all of the relationships that you have, and you have many, whether you hermit yourself off or not, you have many. By not actively participating in them, you are passively being assigned roles. You are more vulnerable when you do this, when you're relying on your own strength and resilience. You see, the 1 + 1 = 3 relationship model not only exponentially raises the vibrational frequency of everything, but it forms a tripod. One is resilient, but still does not negate the fact that there is butterfly effect, that what everyone else around is doing does affect you too. 1 + 1 = 2. Well, that's like the legs of a ladder, and they have to lean on something. It's not steady. It's not sturdy. We've already determined that that is not the relationship model to be in. But 1 + 1 = 3 forms a tripod for communication, a stable base where you can be whole and complete into yourself, but there is a safe third dimension for vulnerability, because you're vulnerable anyway, because you're already interdependent, just in the fact that you exist in a world where there is no other way to be. Existence itself is vulnerability. When we acknowledge that we are vulnerable anyway, when we surrender to the knowledge of the fact that we are vulnerable anyway, and when we step up and take our sovereignty of self and use our voices, and do so by participating actively and defining our own roles, tailoring them to who we want to feel, be, and experience ourselves as in 1 + 1 = 3 models. By voicing for ourselves who we are in these communication tripods of 1 + 1 = 3 relationships. That's when we minimize our vulnerability. That's when we minimize our vulnerability. Not when we isolate ourselves and think we have control. That's an illusion. We never have complete control. Never. But the more actively we participate, in all of the different relationship aspects of our lives, the more we step up and define who we are, the more we take sovereignty over self, the more we define our parameters, the more we put out the energy of this is who I am. Therefore, the energy comes back respecting that, honoring that. The more we utilize this communication tripod, the more our sphere of influence or our sovereignty of self is spread. Isolating yourself like this gives you only resilience. That's the only area that you have any influence in. But by participating in all of these communication tripods, relationships, 1 + 1 = 3, relationships that you are in, whether you are actively participating or passively caught up in them anyway. You are exercising then your true scope of power, your sovereignty of self, and defining for yourself how you show up in the world. You're defining your roles. You're tailoring the roles for yourself. So, to minimize vulnerability, get out in the world. Live your life in great big capital letters. As long as you breathe.